I just hope the women took the votes a little bit more seriously than the men have historically. That's all I'll say.
Well, to be fair, I mean, everyone's seen Courtney Hill because of the Challenge Cup final when she was outstanding, haven't they? Kelsey Gentles pops up every 2 or 3 weeks on the Checker Trade Try of the Week on the R League app. So she's been an exciting player this year.
Yes, indeed.
And finally?
Yes.
Wales Women's Rugby League will play their inaugural international against England Lions women on the 16th of November. England Lions will be drawn from the Championship and League One sides as the full England team will be touring the Southern Hemisphere. However, the new Wales team will treat the game at Lee Miners Rangers RLFC as their first full test match. Wales will first play a warm-up against Great Britain Teachers at Sardis Road in Pontypridd on 26th of October. The games are part of a plan to enter a Wales team at the 2021 Emerging Nations World Cup. Wales women will be coached by Bradford Bulls women's under-19s head coach Craig Taylor, with the 44-year-old combining his duties with both sides. His assistant coach will be James Allen and the team manager will be Louise Morgan.
Yeah, good stuff. Strides being made in Wales, and that can only strengthen the women's game. Right, that was expertly done, guys, as we rattle through that with good depth, but still not too much. We're now going to move on to something that we're going to approach similarly, I think, and that is the Super League match reviews. So we go into Super League match reviews, the final round of the Super League season. I've written on here round 28. It's round 29. I must have typoed there. The average attendance 8,826. That's middling, so we won't need to talk about that too much. I mean, with the games that were on the line, it might have been nice to see more people there, but hopefully people are only saving their money for the playoffs. We shall see. The first game we'll start as we almost always do, with a Thursday night game. It was Wigan versus Castleford. It was 4-2 to the Warriors at half time, thanks mostly to some wayward goal kicking from Jamie Ellis. It finished a convincing 26-8 though to the Warriors as they finished the league season in second place. 11,001 was the crowd that was announced, and James Child was the man in the middle. In terms of stats, meter numbers were close, but making 7 breaks to 2 and tackling at 4.8% better team tackle success rate helped Wigan to overcome the 5 more errors that they made to take the win. Individually, Young Player of the Year nominee and the League Express's Young Player of the Year, Morgan Smithies, had his first senior try, 40 tackles and 13 marker tackles. Dan Sarginson, 6 tackle plus 126 metres. Oliver Gildart, 1 try, 6 tackle plus 127 metres. And Zach Hardacre, 1 try, 1 try assist. I don't think that was the try assist for the... I think that was a Wigan try, not the Castleford one.
2 try assists.
5 tackle busts and 111 metres. For the losing Castleford side, Paul McShane stood up, despite getting his hair ruffled by Oliver Partington. 40 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles. Jordan Rankin, 7 tackle busts, 143 metres. Dan Smith, 125 metres to round out what's been an impressive first campaign, I think, for him at Cass. And then James Clare, 115 metres. The first fan review comes from you.
Yeah, Sarah can read it because I'm not reading it. That's just weird. That's very meta if I read my own reviews.
So Shoddy and Munger, Alan, said it's such a shame with the late fixture change that Cass couldn't make it to the game.
Hilarious.
Said, what a drop ball festival in the first half. Wigan found their form and dominated the second half, but Oliver Partington is an absolute dickhead and would have been a nice punch bag 10 years ago. Jesse Senilafeo's answer to him wasn't acceptable and the red card was the correct decision.
Yeah. Paul O'Brien says, a scrappy first half from both teams. Wigan started the better and built on that momentum. Thought the referee and touch judge were correct for the red card. Last minute consolation try for the Tigers was the only thing for the fans to take from the second half. Wigan continue to build ahead of the playoffs and a bad week for the Tigers.
Attila Murphy says, Partington, eh? Bet Senny Lefeo won't be the last person trying to drop a knee on his head. The Castleford pack got pushed around by a bunch of juvenile delinquents tonight. I'm not saying the season's too long, but Morgan Smithies was in diapers when it started. Where do Wigan get all these good players from? Young players from?
Well, everywhere. They bring them in, they develop them, they churn them out. Morgan Smithies is still eligible to be playing in the academy side and has gone and watched most of the academy games this year. Watched his contemporaries, because they are the people that are the same age as him, not the people he's playing against and dominating on a weekly basis. White Pie said, another good win for Wigan despite an inconsistent first half. Cass were clueless in the final third, and Truman is a myth who was hugely outplayed by Smithies and Partington. Hardacre had a poor night, and I put that down to him trying too hard against his former club. Senny Lefebvre deservedly saw red for a cowardly knee drop on Partington when he was already tackled, although according to Powell he didn't touch him. Well, he prayed that he didn't. Greenwood had a good game with his best performance of the year. French was quiet but was always looking for work. A solid night, and it's looking like 2015 again when no one gave us a hope but we somehow won at Old Trafford. I think he means 2016. But yeah.
How many review sections was that?
It was one and a line.
Okay,
It was an extra line. That last line was extra. Yeah.
Rich Langley says, this game makes me think the Pies are peaking at the right time and that Jamie Ellis took a bow on goals kicked. Also, was anyone else aware that Zach Hardacre used to play for Cass? Must be a recent move, given it was mentioned every time he got the ball, made a tackle or appeared on screen.
Jen Kay said, very satisfying last game of the season. The team look on great form with Hardacre and Williams looking like they're eyeing success. Thought Cass looked way off and spurned lots of opportunities to run us a bit closer. For a season that began with -2 points and got steadily worse, I still can't believe we finished in second place.
And Fatboy Rob said, that game summed up our season. The forwards played well and we had no trouble getting up the field, but our backs were fucking clueless in the last 30. Add in the missing 2 easy kicks and it was never going to be our night. Jesse got a deserved red and, I would imagine, a lengthy ban when the game had gone. I'm still confident we will beat Wyatt, then Wigan, then Salford, then Saints and win the lot. Hashtag Coif, hashtag Stuffafs. I have no clue what that one is. But what I would say is he hasn't had a lengthy ban, hasn't Jesse Senny Lefebvre? We got a grade C charge and 2 games. Oliver Partington got a 1-game ban for what I would describe as Chase Blair being tackled into his arm. Because I can't see what Partington did wrong in that challenge. He also got a caution, did Oliver Partington, for other contrary behaviour, and that relates to the incident with Paul McShane that I think everyone is calling him a dickhead about, where at first he reacted to McShane putting his head in his face and getting penalised by ripping off the bandage that was round McShane's head. Not really acceptable by either player in that incident there. And then he ruffled his hair, didn't he, of Paul McShane, which kind of is one of those things that I don't like to see when other people make an error, the winding up side of it. But it kind of, as a Wigan fan in this instance, kind of made me think the kid has got something about him, even if it's not necessarily stuff I like all the time. It's a grit that's going to get under people's skin. What he does, Oliver Partington, is he gets the absolute out of any talent he's got, and some of that is winding people up. Some of it is dropping off lovely passes for putting Morgan Smithies through a hole, but most of it is winding people up.
Yeah.
Senny Lefebvre, let's touch on it, guys, because I thought it was absolutely abhorrent. And, religious or not, it doesn't excuse what he did. Apologising as he went off or not, it doesn't excuse what he did. And 2 games does not seem a suitable punishment for what felt to me like a just completely disgraceful, deliberate act.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised it's only 2 games. I'll put that out there now, because it's the obviously he lost his mind, didn't he? And it was a very, very stupid thing to do. And it's no one's trying to defend it, are they? So it does surprise me that the ban seems quite lenient. When I was thinking about it on the way home, before I had seen the charges, I was thinking up to 8. I was thinking that might be on the charge sheet, because
I was expecting a grade D 3 to 5 personally.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I was thinking just because of the.
It's not Ben Flower, in the grand final.
No, good,
but
that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to put Ben Flower on this end as like the worst thing I've ever seen on a pitch in terms of conduct, and then the everyday kind of careless high tackles at the 1 game and 2 games, and I kind of put it closer to Flower in terms of its the potential to cause serious harm.
And
but also the
scope
recklessness
of what you'd normally see in a game. It wasn't about a collision or an impact. Not like the one Partington got 1 game for.
No, that's what I mean. It's definitely on the path towards a Ben Flower, but it's not there. So particularly with it being at this time of year, I was thinking it might be like a high games, but the kind of a couple of games in terms of pre-season and blah blah blah. So it wouldn't have surprised me if it was in the 6 to 8 kind of range, but I think 2 is very lenient, personally.
They're scared that Castleford might get to the grand final, aren't they?
He was Castleford's best player on the night, and throughout the game, him and Willie Ice were having a really good battle, and Senny Lefeo, for the most part, was coming out on top of that battle, I would say. And I think his frustration at having a good performance, kind of getting on top of his opposite number, yet still his side not being anywhere near winning that game, maybe is what boiled up to that, adding that Oliver Partington has started to wind a few people up. But why is no one talking about McShane sticking his head in his face as being a bad act, but Partington ripping the headband off his head is a terrible act? That I don't get. Even though he was a bit of a dick for rubbing his hair. Some players are just
misunderstood.
Nah. It was
Jake Connor.
I'm sure we've got more to talk about Jake Connor in a little while. Did he get sin bin this week?
No, he didn't.
Good on him. In terms of the game, I think there was an element of scrappiness, but what I would say is that this time of the year, you get that in games. You get errors because the conditions aren't always perfect. You get errors because the tension in the game isn't always, conducive to people not making mistakes. But whilst you're not going to get perfect play, what Wigan have shown an ability to do, which Castleford didn't in this game, I don't know if they will in the other games in this playoff, but what has made Wigan over the last 3 years be so competitive is they can stick at the intensity, and every player that they bring into that side can stick at that intensity pretty much. And that's why Wigan won this game. They played at a playoff intensity, which overcame the errors because they could defend every error that they made, could Wigan, apart from the one right at the end, but that didn't count for much. I'd say rather than picking out any star players, it was more of a team performance than one where any individual stood out for Wigan. All of Wigan players other than Romain Navarrete, who followed up maybe his best outing of the season last week with maybe his worst this week, were 7 or 8 out of 10 for Wigan, in my view. I think it was a solid team performance, so I'm not going to pick out too many individuals. In terms of highlight moments, I mean, Williams' try showed just how much he can pick and time his moments and absolutely run rings round the side. And we nearly had an absolutely fantastic try if Dan Sargentson wasn't so intent on getting the ball to his winger that he forgot to look the other way where the try was going to be scored by Zach Hardacre. But it resulted in Joe Greenwood getting a try, so I suppose the whole set as a piece was one of the most exciting pieces of attack we saw from that Wigan side. So I would applaud those as my highlight moments in this game. And in terms of how it all pans out, I do think Wigan are going into the playoffs with a level of intensity here that hopefully, from my perspective, sees us get to another grand final.
Annoyingly, I can't disagree with that. They're doing that. They're doing that bloody thing again. They're peaking at the right moment, and every team who faces them in the playoffs is going to be worried. Quite rightly.
Sarah, where do you think this leaves Cass?
5th.
I mean, in terms of as they roll into the playoffs.
Oh, they're heading straight out.
A game where they could only score a try off an error.
Yeah.
Does that signify that, unfortunately, Jake Truman is a young player still, can't do it every week?
If Cass click, then they look okay, they look decent. But, to be perfectly honest, the week before, they should have scored at least 50 against us, and they could only manage, 20-something?
It's it's that killer instinct in the final third with their not top draw wingers. They've got decent wingers